What you have is a country that is just recovering from several big terror attacks.
Oh my god. What's going on? What just happened? What's going on? Oh my god! Oh my god!
And then this happens.
We're stuck on the 23rd floor! Hello!
As a result, the country seems to go into a state of mourning, but something bigger is at play here.
I've never seen a fire spread that quickly in a building in my life.
A Prime Minister that can't cope.
That's why you misread the public mood on this one. You misread the anger that people feel about this. They shouted coward at you this afternoon when you left St Clement's.
You can stick your coolness where the sun don't shine. I don't feel cool about this. I feel very angry about these people.
So
I feel very angry
Piers.
about the other people currently living in terror that this may happen to their tower blocks. Philip Hammond said yesterday categorically...
Piers, I don't think that language like that is appropriate when we're reflecting
I
on
don't give a damn what you think.
Don't you?
No, I don't.
Well, why do you invite me on your programme?
Because if you're going to say I've got no right to feel passionate or angry or emotional about this, I don't give a damn whether you think I've got the right to do that. This has been a total disgrace. Philip Hammond said yesterday that categorically the cladding that had been used in this particular disaster was banned in this country, right? Was he right to say that?
Piers, actually he said that he understood and it would be a matter of criminal investigation.
Since the original incident took place, over 400 people have had to move out of their home into temporary accommodation. This is something big.
Right, we've had fire brigade here all day, Camden Council, police. I had a fire safety check done today. Why have they left it until 8:30 at night to start getting residents out?
I know it's difficult, but Grenfell changes everything, and I just don't believe we can take any risk with our residents' safety, and I have to put them first.
Let's talk about what happened.
This is the worst thing I will remember in my life. I saw my uncle from the 17th floor. He opened the window and he kept shouting, "Please help us, get us out," and he was saying Allah's name and all this, and I keep looking at him, helpless.
Not losing one member of my family, but losing all five, the whole entire family. I don't have my parents anymore, and you only get one set of parents in this world, and I had 3 siblings. They're all gone in the space of a couple of hours after leaving their house. They're all gone. And no one wants to give us any information about where their whereabouts are, if they're still within the building or not.
She was like, "Oh, we're not going to make it, we can't make it, we can see flames under the door. I see flames under the door." She stopped talking, and all I could hear was this crackling noise in the background because the phone was still on, but she wasn't saying anything.
He said, why you left me? He said, why? I didn't leave.
So look, I'm not going to go into all the details of what happened in the incident. There was the fire at the Grenfell Tower in London, and it was just unbelievable what happened. And I think the best way for people who don't know about it to sort of see what happened is to see footage of it. So here is some.
going to come down.
It won't come down. But
It's concrete. It was made 50 years ago, but the exterior they built 2 years ago. So the exterior is flammable, as you can see. So that's what's helped the fire.
Oh, look at that on the other side. Oh, purple. Oh shit, there's a hot fire. Oh my days. Oi, 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 oi. Something crazy's happening.
Interestingly enough, you know, I first heard about that incident and I just thought, oh, you know, it's like a little fire or something like that. And it was the day after the incident, and we first got to see the images of the building. And you have to sit there and just think for a second, like, holy shit. Like, this building is soon to be was, because I'm quite sure they will have to pull it down, was, what, 23, 24 stories high? And amazingly, people got out of this. There is an unprecedented number of people who didn't escape this fire. And that's why this is such a big issue for a lot of people, because there were several failings that resulted in people dying. So the first failing itself is in the actual building. Not too long ago, this building went under a £10 million refurbishment. Now, on the outside of the building, it was cladded with this new cladding to make it look better. But on the inside of the building, it appears that not really much changed. For example, the fire safety procedure was, if the fire isn't in your flat, remain in the building. Now, I know of nowhere else that says remain in a building when it's on fucking fire. So why was that rule even in place, even for a second? Like, that just doesn't make sense at all. Countless amounts of people have also raised the issue that the fire alarm didn't sound. And this is yet another thing that makes you wonder, what really happened here? I mean, in this awful incident, what you have to remember is that this £10 million that was spent on the refurbishment, that could have installed a sprinkler system. And I find it actually quite amazing that there was a member of parliament who dared to say that the residents wouldn't allow for a sprinkler system to be installed.
And a report by the British Automatic Fire Sprinklers Association said that they reckon that Grenfell Tower could have been retrofitted with sprinklers, which would have helped in some ways with this fire, for £200,000. Now, we know the residents were talking about issues of sprinklers. Why were retrofitting of sprinklers not considered?
Because there wasn't a collective view that all the flats should be fitted with sprinklers, because that would have delayed and made the refurbishment of the block more disruptive.
Delay would surely have been sufficient. Delay would be more important than having a fire.
We are now talking retrospectively after the most enormous tragedy, but many residents felt that we needed to get on with the installation of new hot water systems, new boilers, and that trying to retrofit more would delay the building, and that sprinklers aren't the answer now. That's a lot of the fire. Well, of course, I regret anything that we might have done differently that would have avoided this tragedy.
And I am going to lose my shit in this video, because I have sort of seen this story for what it actually is. And I don't think it is what most of the public are expecting it to be. On the loose term of it, yeah, you have a building that went on fire. It was a really, really bad fire. But it actually is it's the result of years of not only mismanagement, but even on a government level, showing that housing is not up to standard within the United Kingdom. Like I said in the introduction of this video, there is over 400 people that have had to move into temporary accommodation, and this is right across the United Kingdom. This isn't just to do with London, because they have been in buildings where the cladding on the outside of the building is like flammable. It can go on fire. What we saw in the London thing when that fire happened was that the cladding caught fire, meaning that basically people that would have escaped out of a window and jumped down to whatever injury or possibly even death they would have faced, they didn't have that option, because literally their windows were on fire. So it's a big, big problem. I am very grateful to see, though, that yes, building management and councils up and down the UK are now sitting up and paying attention and going, actually, we've kind of got cladding like that, and we need to get that shit removed. However, though, isn't this an underlying problem that was used in the first place? Because when something like cladding is produced, it is tested first for things like how flammable is it? How easy is this going to catch fire? If it catches fire, how does the fire behave? Does it just go up? Or does it just burn a little corner? What happens to it? And this information is gathered before it's even used on a building. So these people that not only manufacture that stuff, the cladding, but the builders that go and use it, the authorities that say, yes, we will put this on our buildings, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, as if it's not bad enough that you've got a building which is probably waiting to go on fire because you've got gas appliances, you've got electric, you've got water, you've got everything that could easily have the potential to start a fire. At what part do you sit there at a fucking desk and look at a sheet that says, this is flammable, this can go on fire, and still go, we'll decorate the outside of the building with it? What possesses people to do that? Even more than that, and this is where the story gets a little bit sickening, because not only did they decorate the building in this flammable material, but the reason that they decorate this building in flammable material is because of the people living inside. In the area where that fire took place, it is so commonly known that you have the rich people and the poor people, and they live close to each other. So when the outside of a building gets redecorated, it's to make the rich people sort of not have to look at this massive eyesore. There's a YouTuber called Jonathan Pye, and he put it perfectly when he said they are basically just papering over poverty. If it looks nice, poverty doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what happens inside the building. You know, as long as the outside looks okay and the rich people go, well, actually, that looks, you know, acceptable compared to our building, then that's fine. You know, we don't have to deal with the problems inside the building, like installing a fucking sprinkler system. That's the point of it. You're papering over the problems that are in that community instead of actually dealing with the problems in that community. You know, I think if a building goes up for any sort of refurbishment, one of the things that has to be looked at is fire safety. I lived in a block of flats up until last year, and it's when you're sat in the flat and you think, if there was a fire on the stairwell, I'm stuck in this building. Like, there is no way out of this building. That is my exit. I mean, okay, yeah, fortunately, I was on the first floor. So, if there was a fire in the building, I probably would injure myself, but I can jump out of a window. If I'm on the 20th floor of a building, I don't have that option of jumping out of a window, because it's not something that I would do. Because I know, I mean, yeah, it's probably me just overthinking, but I would be going, actually, I'm going to die if I jump out of this window. And if I stay in here, I'm just going to be fucking cremated. So what the fuck do I do? So, yeah, fire safety has to be looked at, and it has to be taken fucking seriously. And there's something else I have to say about that. Our beloved government, don't you just love them? They've not long won an election, yay, etc. And it's the same government that only a few years ago had a vote, and they decided that private landlords who own properties actually don't have to make sure that their properties are fit for human habitation anymore. That's the way that the law stands within the United Kingdom. Thanks to our government. We love you. Not only that, but they've also been cutting back on some services within the United Kingdom. And one of those services is the fire brigade. You know, when I was a kid, you always used to see the firefighters. They would pull up and there would be like loads of firefighters. They all like pour out of the front of the engine, and then, you know, they go off, get the hoses and everything like that. And in some cases, in some areas, even in fucking London, firefighters are reduced down to 3 firefighters per 1 engine. That is wrong. Staffing levels have gone to what I can only think of as a modern day all-time low within the fire service. And you wonder why the fire fucking spread like it did. You wonder why the firefighters can't fight fires higher than 20 stories. Because they haven't got the resources to do so. They haven't got them. And whose fault is that? That's down to the government. This isn't down to bad management within the fire service. I mean, frankly, the fire service I cannot have enough respect for. These men and women, they go out to these amazing scenes where most of us would be too traumatized to even run, but we would make our way away from that fire, but these people run towards it. They put their lives on the line, and yet we begrudge them a pay increase, and we now begrudge them giving them a fucking job. What sense is that? I mean, yeah, okay, if austerity is a real thing, if there is a national debt to repay, fine, get it fucking repaid. Yes, you cut down your outgoings. Yes, you increase your incomings. But this government is not doing that. They are cutting down the services. They are increasing the taxes. But who's getting the benefit from it all? The fucking rich. There's this massive divide in the country at the minute. And it's the working class people that are suffering because they're stuck in the middle. And at the moment, it's either going, you go poor or you go rich. The middle is going. And that's why we have this problem. That's why we decorate these buildings with fucking flammable material on the outside to try and make it look a little bit better, while neglecting the fact that those people on the top floors have zero chance of surviving if there's a fucking big fire in that building like there was. And we're surprised when something like this happens. Why are we surprised? Why? We have a government where even the Prime Minister comes out to come and visit the actual scene, and she talks to firefighters. She doesn't even talk to the people who've been affected by this. The Queen, for fuck's sake, came along. She spoke to the victims. She spoke to the volunteers. She listened to their stories. And, you know, God love her, she's kind of nothing to do with what happened. Yet Theresa May, the woman who's overseen these votes in Parliament and overseen the loss of thousands of firefighters' jobs, can't even be bothered to come and speak to the residents. Can you see why I'm so angry about this? I really hope you can. I should, however, say that Theresa May did make an appearance long after the actual fire took place. And yes, she met with some residents that I have a feeling were pre-selected. And she got booed. And I have to sit there and go, boo? Boo? That's the least I would do if I saw her. Like, her and her party are shameful. They are the lowest of the low. Like, genuinely, lowest of the low. If they survive another election, I haven't got a clue how. I mean, frankly, they're sort of getting in with the terrorists now. The ones from Ireland. Well, Northern Ireland, should I say. And, yeah, they're getting into bed with them and they're thinking it's going to be great. Well, this coalition, in my opinion, is going to fucking fail. And I can't wait for it to do so. I've already got my pen ready to go and vote again. Because this government they are the worst. And that's the only way that I can describe it. What I will finish off saying about this whole topic, because I have kind of gone on for a little bit now, is that if you have concerns about your property and if it's got cladding on the outside or anything like that, there are organisations, if you have a look on Google, you'll probably find one that's quite near to you, that can come and do safety checks on your property. If you live in a block of flats or you are a council-controlled property, then they will more than likely, I know mine have, they've written to me and said, we're going to review our fire policies and everything like that. But you can contact your local council or landlord and ask for a fire safety check to be made on your property. The main thing from this whole incident is to make us look at our own fire safety. Like, you need to know, even if you're just in a house, you need to know your points of escape and set yourself a little challenge in your head. And if you think, okay, well, if I'm upstairs in a bedroom, I can just go downstairs and out the front door. Well, imagine if the fire was on the stairs. How are you going to get out your property? That sort of thing. Just completely test yourself. And yes, make sure that your smoke alarms work. Contact your local fire brigade service if you need help with smoke alarms. They can help, I think, either providing them and fitting them. I know they used to come out and fit them, but I think due to budget cuts, I think that service might have been, What I will say finally is that, the United Kingdom, at the time of the fire, was recovering from several really nasty terror attacks. And on the night of that fire, and the days and weeks and what will be months, maybe even years after, there is like this army of volunteers from all over the world who have come together to help the victims of this fire. And I think that is amazing. The good side of humanity has made its face known again. And in a world where a lot of people are sort of afraid of terror attacks, and we can't go to concerts anymore because it's not safe, we can't do this because it's not safe, and blah blah blah, to see the level of caring that some people have shown is incredible. And I, on behalf of myself and probably a lot of other people watching this, want to say thank you to each and every one of them volunteers that has gone and helped. Even to the people who put onto Twitter and said, I've got a phone you can use, I've got a car, I can drive you somewhere, I've got a spare bedroom, come and stay at mine. To the people who've done that, you are what makes people like me feel proud to be British. Because we do have this sort of sense of, okay, yeah, something terrible has happened, and we will look into it, we will deal with it, but for now, I will help you, and that sort of thing. And that's incredible for a country to have this, especially having gone through what we have over the past couple of months. So thank you to all of you. And that's it. Thanks for watching.